I'm Jen Landstrom, and this is Stitches TV. Today I'm going to show you how to do some embellishment on a tote bag. We're going to applique a couple of little birds and a little tree limb onto this bag. And it's very simple to do, and you can design lots of things for very little money. You can use your scrap fabrics and some creative ideas and make something pretty cool. So what I did was I cut out a little piece of denim here, and I used my pinking shears on it because it tends to unravel. I just pinned it in place where I want to sew it, and then I have two little birds here that we're going to sew on also. First, you're going to put your bag into the sewing area. It's kind of hard to feed it in, so you just have to kind of wiggle it around and get it in the best way you can so that you can start sewing. I start sewing at this left-hand side of the bag when it's facing you, just because it's a little bit easier to get it in that way. It's kind of a tight squeeze here, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew a big zigzag stitch down the middle of this branch. That way the edges will unravel with time, and it makes it a lot easier to get it on there secured. So I'm just going to make one straight stitch. I'm going to change my stitch size down to the smallest I can get it so that you don't have a big straight stitch there, since we're going to do zigzag instead on this one. So then I just reinforced my stitches, did a couple back stitches, and then I'm going to raise the needle and change to a zigzag. And I'm going to do the setting pretty wide on here, and just line it up where you want it to start and put your needle down, and then do a couple stitches back. Backward zigzag stitches don't tend to reinforce, so they will come unraveled if you don't do the straight stitches first. That's why I did those. So I just did a couple back so that it starts kind of near the beginning, and then I'm just going to go forward all the way across this little tree limb. And you can go as fast or slow as you want. I'm going to go pretty fast because it's pretty easy to do this. And then I got to get this pin out and keep going to the end. Move the bag a little bit if you have to, so it doesn't get stuck. And then back up a couple of stitches with the zigzag setting still on and go forward a little bit, and then you raise your needle and then switch back to straight stitch, and then lower the number for the length of stitch so that it's a small stitch. Put your needle back down and then just back up one or two stitches and go forward a couple, and then raise your needle and pull it out, and then you're all done with that little branch. You want to clip your threads, and I'll just clip inside. It's hard to see, but I'm just clipping the thread off inside so that I don't waste much of the bobbin thread. And then you just want to trim your threads from the beginning. And we've got our little branches on here now. And you can do anything you want. You could cut out letters or hearts or anything depending on what you want to use the bag for. You can make it for a little child and do their name or their initials or something fun like that, and just use these same techniques, and it doesn't take much time. Okay, so there's that. What I want to do is figure out where I want my little birds to be. I have two of them. I'm just going to have them facing each other, and so maybe do them here and here, something like that. So I'll just pin this one in place first, and we'll start stitching it now, and then we'll do the other one when we're all finished with him. These are a little bit more tedious because you have to go all the way around, but if you just take your time with it, it's really not too difficult. So then I just move my bag back in, and I tend to start right here at their beak, but you can start wherever you're comfortable with. And just do a little, you still have your setting for a really small straight stitch, so then just lower the needle and do a forward stitch and a backward stitch to set it. And I'm going to do a zigzag around the edge of the bird, just because it covers the edges of the fabric so it doesn't fray, and I like to have this one covered up, the edges covered up nicely. So Then you're going to change your setting to the zigzag, and then not quite as wide of a stitch as I did here. I'm going to do for the bird, just because you don't need to cover as much. And then all the other settings I left the same. I'll just lower the needle. I'll take the pin off because really you don't need it once you've got it under there. And then just back up a stitch and then do some forward stitches. And you might want to lower your speed on this just so you don't accidentally go off the bird and onto just the bag part, so that would be kind of pointless. So what you're going to do is you're going to be going around curves, and so it's a little bit harder to sew around those. You'll want to do a couple stitches at a time, pretty much the whole way through. You raise your presser foot when it looks like you're about to have to turn a little bit, readjust your bag, and then press so that you start going again, and just go a couple stitches. I tend to stop on the left-hand side of the zigzag stitch and then readjust instead of the right-hand side for when the curve is out like this, like a circle, the outside of a circle. And then at some point I'll start doing it the other way. I'll show you when I do that, but just go a couple more stitches and then stop it and go around some more. And then when you get down here, this is when I'll switch. Is in this corner when it is like a V instead of the curved edge. That's when I pull the presser foot up when it's on the right-hand side of the zigzag stitch. It just seems to work better that way. So then you just go forward a little bit more. And then do the same thing again here because it's another area like before. And go to the end of its tail. And so then here, this takes a little bit of wiggling around with your bag because the bottom, you don't want to catch the bottom side of your bag underneath the needle by accident, so you just have to keep an eye on that. And then just keep working around the outside edge of the bird. And it's okay if you don't grab the very edge of the fabric. It's not going to fray very much, and that may be a look that you're going for anyway. So you can do whatever you like with this, and then just keep stitching. And then go a little bit more. And then just keep turning it, and before you know it, you're back at the beginning. Turn it back a little bit. And then we're almost at the beak again. So then back up a stitch and go forward a couple, and then raise your needle and go back to the straight stitch that's a really small stitch and reinforce. Just maybe one stitch back, one stitch forward, and then raise your needle and pull the fabric out. And you've got one bird sewn in place. So just cut my thread. So there's little pieces of denim on here, but just ignore those for now. They'll shake off later. So then you have your one little bird in place, and then you just want to do the other one. So I'll just clean these little pieces off. And you can put them wherever you like. I'm just going to put them so they're facing each other right here in the middle. And I'll pin it for the moment. And then get ready to stitch this one in place. So that's how you do applique on a sewing machine, and you can embellish anything you like. Thanks for watching Stitches TV. We hope to see you soon.